the points of the month. Who would like to start? You?
I can start.
So Lauren's going to talk about the succulent of the month, and then Joseph will do cactus next.
Thank you. All right, so let's move it forward. Okay, so tonight I am presenting string of pearls, otherwise known as Curio rowleyanus, which was previously Senecio rowleyanus. All right, so it's native to the Eastern Cape of South Africa, which is in this yellow, light yellow area. The climate is arid and lots of full sun and dry winds. And then one of the hardest things to find is actually pictures of this in habitat because it's just so common in big box stores. But luckily, the University of Wisconsin Extension had some great pictures of it crawling across some rocks or boulders, and I think the color variation is really cool on what they found. But they take shelter with these rocks and then also with other plants. Oh no. That's okay.
It's weird that it opened up in the browser. It's supposed to be on here.
Perfect. So the plant itself is built for very dry conditions. The plants are, the round pearls are actually what helps it reduce the surface area that's exposed to wind. And then there's little slits on them called the epidermal windows, and those help increase photosynthesis.
This one?
Yes, perfect. And that is a picture of my own plant up close. My plant is much smaller beads, but up close they look great. And this is also when it's watered and thriving. So the next one, the most interesting part about this as well is that it was recently reclassified in around 2015 to a new genus. So it was previously Senecio, which is the largest genera of flowering plants, which you can kind of see when it does flower, which it did this year for me. It kind of looks like a daisy. It's got a white flower with yellow and red antlers that stick out of it. And like I said, it did get moved to a new genus called Curio, which is Latin for curious, which I think fits well with how weird a shape it gives. And for my plant, it grows inside. I have tried propagating it with water with very little success. When it falls off, I normally just throw it back in the pot, and it grows really well. I hardly ever water it until it gets really shrinked, and it's starting to get there. It probably needs a few more weeks till I'll water it again. Yeah.
A few more weeks?
Yeah, I hardly ever water. They're out of some neglect. And the medium that it's mixed in, this was one of my newer or older plants I got. Shout out to the sale in May of 2023 from Echo. So I actually mixed it, didn't really know what I was doing, with just Miracle-Gro Cactus and Succulent mix, some orchid bark, and perlite. So a random assortment of what was in my garage. And it does really well, so just don't water them. And also loves being inside. I think Houston weather is really difficult to grow these in outdoors just because of the wild climate change. I'm from Florida originally, so it stays 75 all the time inside my house.
So what window do you have it in?
It's actually like a southwest facing window, so it gets sun pretty much all day. Full sun, no shade whatsoever. I just let it do its thing. So lots of sun, and it doesn't hang. You can hang it, but it does really well in the pot too. So
how often do you water it?
I actually only water it when it tells me to. So it will get really shriveled, and if you guys come up and look, you can see it's kind of starting to shrivel. The pearls itself will start looking way less round. So you saw in my pictures, they were very round and full looking. Right now they're starting to look not pea-shaped. And you'll see the slits are much more prevalent in them versus when they're nice and watered. So thank you.
So my name is Joseph. Do I need the mic? My name is Joseph, and the cactus of the month is Browningia hertlingiana, I think is how you say it. These two here are the cactus in question, and I brought a couple other sort of similar blue columnar cacti that you see a lot, or they're often compared to them. So let's see, this is a Pelosocerius, and then this is a, what do you call it? Does anybody know? Cyprocerius bray, yeah. So I like blue columnar cacti. They're not the main thing that I grow, but they are fun and cool. And Browningia hertlingiana is probably one of the most common Browningia you'll ever see. So there's, I think, about like 12 or 13, maybe 11 species of Browningia, and the only other one that's relatively common that you see is Browningia candelaris. But these are Andean cacti, and they grow at about 1,000 to 3,000 meters of elevation in southern, sort of like south central Peru. So if you could picture Peru and Cusco's like here, then you're going over a little bit to the east from that. That's where these things grow. They're pretty common there, and they get way, way bigger than these like kind of little puny ones. So they can achieve heights of like, at least 20 to 25 feet, like you see like tall, and they can be over a foot wide in habitat. In cultivation, you rarely see them get that big. It's much more common in cultivation to see them be more like 3 to 4 inches wide, and you know, under 4 feet tall is more common. They are not the easiest plants to grow. So I wouldn't say they're like super, super challenging, but because they grow in a very dry climate where the humidity is way lower than here, they are prone to rot in the Houston climate. So you need to be a little bit careful with them if you're gonna try to grow Browningia. So first off, you need a very well draining mix, like less organic material than you would otherwise use for your typical cactus. And also you need to be strict about keeping them dry from November through February. I messed up on that this year. I had an accident where some of my plastic fell down this winter during a storm, and so it was one of those winter storms where it froze at night, and a bunch of my cacti got really wet right before that. And this Browningia was the only plant in my whole collection that suffered. But if you look right here at the base, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a spot of rot. There's like black rot there at the base of this plant. So it hasn't killed it, and I've been like kind of putting sulfur powder on there and trying to keep it dry. But if it does start to spread, I'm gonna have to probably chop this plant into pieces and graft it, which is how I would save it. Otherwise, it's a relatively slow-growing species compared to some of the other columnar cacti that you might grow. So if you grow like Pelosocerius, or if you grow like the truly fast-growing columns, those things put on like easily 6 inches to 2 feet per year, depending on what it is, and these don't. So you can expect, like, even in ideal conditions, you can expect like 3 or 4 inches on these in a year, done well. So they're just much slower, you have to be a little bit more patient, and for that reason, because they're a little bit hard to grow and relatively slow growing, it's less common to see really big ones in people's collections. So if I ever do see like a big Browningia, I'm like, oh, like, nice job. Other than that, I think they're a really, really beautiful cactus. Mine are not super good looking, to be honest. They're pretty young, and I haven't done the best job with them. I haven't had them in as much sun as they should be in. They need like full, complete sun, no protection at all, is the best ideal condition to get them as blue as possible. Mine are a little greener looking because they are often under some partial shade. I wanted to end just by Google image searching Browningia hertlingiana for you guys to let you see it. Some like a little bit more better looking photogenic versions of it, especially so that you can also see the buds and the flowers. Because once they get to be about 1 meter tall, they're mature enough to flower. And the flower buds are like black. they're like a dark brownish purple color that is all like pretty similar to, you know, one of these pots. And then the flowers themselves are like a cream color, and it's just a really pretty striking plant with this like, you know, bright blue epidermis, and then the black flower bud with the cream colored flowers. So I wanted to show you a picture of that, and then
I
we'll
will,
be done.
I will have this on.
Yeah, that'd be great. Does anyone have any questions about these? I kind of rambled.
Do you find that the blue farina color washes off with rain or water?
No, it does not, but it will scratch off. So like if you're transplanting them, or like if it gets bumped against something and you scratch it, you'll notice that the farina goes away. It definitely responds. They respond really well to direct sunlight. So when, like, I think this one was actually growing in a little bit better conditions than this one was, and you can kind of tell that like its whole body looks bluer and knobbier, whereas this one is a little more like green and just straight. The last thing I should mention, I wanted to say this and I forgot, is that sometimes you'll see these for like stupid prices. Do not pay more than like $15 for a small Browningia. Lots of people have them for less than that. So like if you just go online, I think even Planet Desert wants less than $15 for it. So it's not like, but there are some people on eBay who are gonna be like, oh, it's $85 for this thing. Don't pay that. Like there are some people who think that they're like a sought after rare cactus. They're not. They're quite common in collections, and especially people who are a little more serious about slightly trickier plants, you'll see them pretty commonly. Yeah.
So you keep referring to yours as being green and not blue, but what causes it to be blue versus green?
I should have been clearer. So the blue color is a response to ultraviolet sunlight. It's part of like a waxy coating called farina that many cacti produce as a protection from the sun. So if you give them like more direct, intense sunlight, they become bluer as a consequence. And their spination will become heavier as well.
And how old are these?
That's a great question. So I did not grow these from seed. I bought them 2 or 3 years, like 2 years ago. And when I got them, they were like this tall. So I would say I've had them for 2 years, and they put on about like 3 or 4 inches in each year. So they're a little slow.
What did you use as the desiccant for the rot?
Sulfur powder. So you can buy just like horticultural or agricultural sulfur. It's used a lot in greenhouses, and it doesn't stop. It's not going to kill a fungus, but it does help prevent those spores from germinating. And so if you have, it's very common, like if you're doing cuttings of a cactus or grafting, to use sulfur powder to help. It's like some people would use cinnamon on cut wound surfaces, but sulfur powder is like a better version of the same thing.
So do you pack it?
No, I'll dust it on.
Oh, you'll dust
So
it.
like I'll use like a paintbrush and I'll dip it in
Okay.
my sulfur powder and then kind of like flick it and I'll like dust it onto there. I'm just trying to stop that rot from spreading, and I'm hoping that with some direct sun exposure it'll pass over. This rain is not helping.
Would a more desiccant substrate work better or faster?
Yeah, I think if I could do this over again, I would put them in an even drier mix. Like,
Chobani.
yeah, this is my dad's yogurt. I take my dad's used yogurt things for my, but and there's drill holes in the bottom. But yeah, I'd probably have about 10 or 15% compost in this, and if I could do it over again, I'd probably put like 6. All right, let me Google image, I'll get off stage.
So just FYI, if everybody's looking for that, some of the Home Depots have them right now. It's like
Oh, really?
$12 for like 3 of them.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow.
Okay,
So I
cool.
just got-
That's
a
fair.
friend
That's
of
a
mine just
reasonable
got
price.
one, and then he gave me away, and like, well, mine is about this big now, but she has like 3 of them in one pot. So, and it's really pretty blue.
Let's see if we can get a flower bud. So
So run to Home Depot.
hold on. So here are the buds. I don't know if we can open the image large, but the buds are like black. Hold on. So the buds are like black on this bright blue plant, and then here's a big one. Well, wait, we can't.
Okay.
Here we go. So I at least wanted you to be able to see that it's like a really striking, like the sort of geometric form of the tubercles combined with like the intense colors just makes a really showy plant. Now granted, it's got to be, like I said, about 1 meter tall before it's sexually mature and can flower, so you're gonna have to have it in your collection for like over a decade. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, I'm gonna mention a neat little trick, sorry. This dust in here is gypsum, and a lot of plants, you can dust like pure gypsum on them when you have like wet conditions like this, and it can be quite helpful. So just a little tip to look into. It's a source of calcium.